In this video, I'm making the Forester sound good inside and out. The Forester project is progressing pretty well. I've taken care of basically all the mechanical stuff. I fitted a lift kit, I cleaned up the interior a bit, and if you haven't seen those videos, go ahead and check those out. In this video, I'm going to be fitting these headers from Empire Performance, as well as some new speakers and a sub, and some sound deadening as well. But I've already installed it as of filming this, so it's not in the pile. These headers were out of stock for a while. They fit the SF Forester as well as the SG after it. I think Imprezas as well. They're for the NA models like this one. And I think because this is a big ticket item, we'll fit it first. Don't worry, I'm repainting it. To start, we got to take the heat shield off of the catalytic converter. Not feeling super confident about these nuts and bolts, but I think it goes without saying we're going to start with WD-40. Let that socialize for a little bit. Yeah, it's not looking good for these ones here. Literally 2 hours later, the headers have been removed, cut into 2 pieces. Took me all that time to remove 2 bolts. Not surprised because they were so rusted over, and honestly this is just how it goes working on cars most of the time, especially when they're old. Maybe if they were new, it would be easier. Actually, I don't have much experience working on new cars because everything I buy is about 15 to 20 years old. I like it that way, but it does make it a bit harder to work on. Anyway, it's time to put the headers on. It will probably take about 8 minutes. New headers go up. Professional technique is use the foot to brace it in position. The torque spec for these nuts is with the car now sounding heaps better. The next job is to tell you I'm joking. There's a lot more to do still. That out. Just been to the wrecker, picked up a new mid pipe from another SF Forester, 130 bucks, so it definitely could have been worse. And this little box, the resonator here, I'll get rid of that raspy crap noise. And then I'll run it without the muffler, see how it sounds, so I can decide what kind of muffler I want to put on it to complete the system. It's a Subaru now. This is the roll of sound deadening I'm going to use. It's got butyl and then foam on top, which is kind of the standard type. Not as cheap as you might expect. I think this is nearly 50 bucks. And looking at it, it's actually not very much, is it? I think what I'll do is actually cut this into a half. Use half on each door. And if I really think I need it, I can get another roll for the back. I'll do. Good. Now that we have the door card and the vapor barrier off, we can see why this car sounds so tinny. There's just no sound deadening on this panel here. Give this a quick clean in here. I don't think it's going to have any problem sticking, but we may as well. try and sneak a little bit more in further up the door, right there. And finally, come on, this inner one here. I don't have much of this stuff left. I don't know. We're just gonna experiment with it. I've also got some other more lightweight sound insulation stuff to put behind the speaker here. I'm not a sound engineer at all, but apparently this is good for behind speakers to cancel reverberation or something. Mainly using it because I don't have any more sound deadening. When you're installing new speakers, you want to make sure the depth isn't going to be too much that it starts hitting your window as it comes down. The safest way to do that is just put the speaker in with the window down, make sure it doesn't touch, but you can also just eyeball it. These new ones are the exact same depth as the old ones, so we know it's going to work. So much better. This is my high mount head unit kit I sell for the SF Forester on my website. I've got a link in the description if anyone's interested. And at this stage, I also installed an under seat subwoofer, which I didn't film because you can't really see under the seat, but I'll show you a before and after right now. While I've got this door card off, it's not really sound related, but I want to fix the central locking on the car. Now, it actually came with a central locking unit, but the first time I owned it, I could never get the key to work. The second time around, I don't have the key anymore. But the internal system still works. So, all I need to do, I've got the central locking kit here, 25 bucks. I only need one servo on this door to activate this rod, and it'll effectively give me central locking on the whole car, so it should be pretty straightforward. Central locking, cool, whatever, every car has it. Whoop-de-doo, I got bored, I couldn't have been bothered including the rest of the footage of that. What I do want to show you though is measuring and making up a custom switch panel for the center of the dash here. Basically because the head unit is no longer down there, I have all this empty space. So I'm making up a little panel to chuck in there, fully 3D printed, and it's going to house a couple of custom switches as well as a UHF radio. Alright, perimeter print is ready to go. Got multicolors because I ran out of filament. I was just using up some scraps. This one looks pretty good. I don't actually want this square profile for here. I want it rounded and a bit nicer. Basically the position's right. I just need to add some fillets, kind of sculpt it a little bit more and add the two screw holes. So basically I want to have two cutouts here and this whole thing will screw through this and into this, keeping that factory location. So I'll take a measurement for that. Let's have a look at the bottom piece. Bottom piece has this sort of tab here that's going to tuck between the two panels, something like that, and sit about there. I'm going to tidy up this corner and bottom section a little bit, but I'm not too fussed about it. This sits well. The width looks pretty good. The amount of curvature on it looks about right. And if I stick this here, which this will kind of install, it's going to be printed in two pieces because of the size of my printer, but generally this is pretty bang on. This section will have use this screw hole and this one here, so I'll take measurements for that as well. So 4 screws holding this panel in should be more than enough. I'm going to take a few more measurements and back into CAD. Version 1 of this panel is printed. Looks like it's going to work. I test fit this thing and now I need to put heat set inserts in here and here and here and here, but this is so tight I can't actually get it out again, and it honestly kind of doesn't need the bracket, but I'm going to try and put it in anyway. We need the inserts for this. This is where the UHF microphone hangs on, and then up here will be my switch panel. which I'll show you in a second. If you're wondering, this is printed on a PEI textured plate. This has kind of been a craze in the 3D printing world in the last year or so. It's honestly such a game changer. It just gives that extra finish to your product. And obviously being printed down, if this is a more 3D object and you print with what's called fuzzy skin or textured walls, then you have a really nice finish, kind of this almost like sandblasted effect. This will be my switch panel here. I've got ABS kill switch for low speed off-roading in mud or snow or whatever, where it can actually be a bit of a drawback having that on. UHF, obviously for this, I want a separate power switch so that I can leave the volume at the right amount and just turn it on and off, because the power switch is built into the volume knob. Rear area light, I'm gonna have some lights on the back that are either like sort of extra reverse lights, or if I've parked and I want to light up the area behind me for camping, I can do that. Front spotlights, that's the extra high beams, and fog light. That's it. Brighter on camera than it is in real life. Got an old school 12-volt socket here. I don't really use these very often, but sometimes you can get tire inflators that run off these, or maybe I need an extra charger, whatever. I already have the power outlet there for it, so I figure I may as well add one. At this stage, not everything is wired up, but the panel is in there and it's going to work pretty well. For anyone curious, I printed this entire thing in ABS filament. In cooler climates, you can get away with PETG, but being a large flat part, this thing will warp if it's made of anything with a lower temp resistance than what ABS has, which is around 90 degrees. That's it for this episode. In the next episode, I'll be upgrading the lighting around the car and giving it a much needed paint job with Raptor liner to get it trail ready. Subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you then. Cheers!